you could argue that YouTube is more of a conscious buy-in when you click on a video than Insta Stories. It's easier, look at your own behavior, it's easier for you if you go to Insta Stories.
Yeah.
And by the way, you can start rolling that. Maybe that's a good rant. Oh, nice. All right, there you go. So there's this whole idea of buy-in, of like conscious choice. So when I'm if I'm mindlessly scrolling through Instagram, there's not a lot of buy-in. So if I like a post, like, oh yeah, I like this one, you know, I just liked it, but I see 50,000 different other posts. So the way you're exposed to the content is almost involuntarily because you still have an algorithm who calculates what posts you're most likely to like, and they're being pushed. But YouTube has that as well. You know, you go to the homepage, YouTube homepage, the starting page, and you have all these videos suggested to you. But clicking on a video with the intention of watching it for the next 10 minutes is a higher mental buy-in as watching an accidental story for 15 seconds because you're scrolling through stories.
You actually commit to watching.
You commit more. It's a mental buy-in, you know? It's a mental opt-in, if you really think about it. An opt-in, opt-ins used to be like, oh, you opt in with your email. You go to a page and it says, subscribe to our newsletter, and you type an email. That's an opt-in. And a mental opt-in is like, do I want to make a conscious choice of watching this now? So if you really think about it, like from lowest mental opt-in to highest mental opt-in, it's Instagram stories is the lowest mental opt-in. You're just like, you're scrolling and you watch some fucking stories. Yeah. So when 5,000 people watch my stories, when 20,000 people watch my stories, it's not many of them made a conscious choice. None of them grabbed their phone with the intention, oh, I want to check out Max's stories. Nobody does that. They're on Instagram and they scroll and they're like, yeah, oh, Max's stories, you know? But then you have YouTube, for example, which is like, I want to go on YouTube to watch some stuff. Oh, hey, here's a video being suggested to me. It's 10 minutes. Let me watch it.
Next always put like on the next tab, like the YouTube videos you want to watch.
Exactly, for example. So it's more of a conscious choice. You're making to watch these YouTube videos. And then you have the highest out of my experience, at least the ones that we're using, is a podcast. Because nobody goes on like the podcast homepage. What podcast am I going to listen to now? The thumbnail looks cool of this episode, so I'm going to click on that. That's not how podcasts work. People make a conscious decision. I want to listen to so-and-so podcast now. I want to listen to Joe Rogan now. So I go on Spotify, I type in Joe Rogan, I find the last episode, I play it. You know? Same for our podcast. Which is why when people come to a closing call and they say, hey, I come from the podcast, we always know they buy. There's like a 100% upsell rate or like 95% closing rate for people who come for a podcast, because if they already make a conscious choice to listen to a podcast episode, they're already like, okay, like I really like this. As opposed to the accidental stumbling upon IG stories, and the more or less accidental, I like the thumbnail of a YouTube video, therefore I'm gonna click on it to check it out for 3 minutes.
Also, like, there's always a better value in podcasts, so like the content that they watch there, it's like, I mean, listen there, it's just...
Not even necessarily automatically by default. The way we're structuring our content is interesting because Instagram stories is a lot more about keeping short attention span, hooking them in, making them take action quickly. Show something cool, then we drop some of our, 500,000 testimonials that we have each and every week. Drop some of those, post a call to action. It's all like quickly get the attention, give them value, make them excited, give a call to action. YouTube is similar. YouTube is more like the discovery thing, which is why I almost always talk about who I am, what I do. I keep it very, very simple because I'm like, most likely if you're coming from YouTube, you're seeing this for the first time, you don't know me, you're not following me on Instagram yet. And then, so this is a conscious choice on how we create the content for that. And then we have the podcast. And again, because we know people make a very, very conscious choice to watch the podcast, because we know that, we can go a lot deeper on the material in the podcast itself. So in the podcast, on YouTube, I'm talking to you, the viewer, in a way so it's like, oh, hey, you don't know me, here's some content, here's what we do, just to ease you in, to indoctrinate you. On podcast, I'm talking to you like, hey, what's up? It's me, motherfucker. Again, you and me, buddy, we're in this together. Here's what's up. I'm doing much more real talk, I'm much more direct to the person because I know the person knows me and likes me already, otherwise they wouldn't listen to my podcast. They're over the threshold of do I like this guy? Is he legit? Yes or no? You don't have that on podcasts anymore. You have it on YouTube because there's so much other noise going on YouTube. But on podcasts, they're like, yeah, I'm down. Like, I understand you're the person who could teach me something, and that's why I'm gonna consume your podcast.
True.
Yeah, and you don't have that effect on Insta, and you don't have that effect on YouTube either.
Yeah.
And that is why it's also, and here's the important point, when I'm saying this now, when someone's watching this and they're like, oh, so create a podcast, it's gonna be the most lucrative. No. The point is, in order to get to that level where you understand your audience so well, is you first have to know how to sell, and you first have to actually get clients. Because it's easy to say on one hand, like, oh yeah, I create the more dense content on podcasts, build more connection, I built the YouTube more from a perspective of they don't know me yet. But yeah, like, those are just the meta concepts, but how you implement those literally depends on how well you know the audience. And how do you know the audience? By doing exactly what we, for example, teach in FBM in the beginner program. We basically say, you know, do your research of the audience, interview them, go start selling, get a proof of concept, get a bunch of clients. Only then this works, because if you now just randomly start doing podcasts, what are you going to say on the podcast? How do you know what your target audience thinks about? What do they need to hear? And I've literally recorded a podcast episode about that yesterday. The episode was, I have it here on Trello actually. It was how to create content that actually converts into sales. And that's like all I do in terms of shooting videos is I just think about like, oh, what was the last issue a client of mine had? What was the last issue someone that sent me a DM that wanted to become my client had? What was the last issue someone on a call had? And so it's like, what excuses? What are their goals? I don't have to sit down and like write content out or something like that. Even when I do have notes, it's like 5 bullet points, you know, like, yeah, here, talk about the so-and-so. I can read it out here. I mean, the video that we actually wanted to shoot, my notes are literally saying what you don't need. Point 1. Point 2, perfectionism. Point 3, oversaturated. These are literally just words that are just there. And if you set yourself out to have like a grandiose content strategy, you cannot do that unless you have your first clients, which is why we always say, get your first 10K a month, not for fun. Well, it is fun to make 10K a month, but most importantly, make your first 10K a month, because that way you're already making money, you focus on what's important, which is a lead generation via direct outreach and sales. And by the time you're making that money, you automatically understand by default your audience already. You cannot, if you come to us and you say, I know my audience, but I haven't made a single dime, then you don't know your audience. Like, that's the proof. It's like someone who says, I'm really good at game, you know, but they haven't gone on a single date. That means, no, you're by default not good at game, you know?
It's the same with every product that you buy. You buy an Apple computer because you trust in it, you know, you believe in it. You
exactly.
know?
You trust that, oh, Apple knows what I want, you know? If when I buy a new MacBook, I know when I open this, I'm understood. I have the apps where I want them to be, the controls with the fingers, you know, if I swipe with 3 fingers, I can swipe left, right, up, down, you know, I can zoom in and stuff like that. I almost swore. And stuff like that. So again, it's how well you understand your audience, and only then this like strategy works. So we always say, like, podcast, you don't need to make a podcast until you're making 150 to 250K a month. Before that, it's unnecessary. Before that, it's literally not necessary. So really, in terms of like what social media things to apply, the first one would be direct outreach. Just have a profile that looks good. You don't even need to post content on there. Just populate the profile with a couple posts, like 4 or 5 posts that are good, and that's it. Direct outreach, get your first 10K a month. After that, which is something we usually teach in our more advanced programs, so our quote-unquote advanced program it's the first advanced program. We have even more advanced programs, but the first advanced program is people that make 10K plus a month. And for those people, we say, okay, now we can start implementing very basic Instagram and YouTube stuff. Very basic, like post once a week on Instagram, post once a week on YouTube, do some stories in between. Very basic stuff. With that, you can get up to 35, if not even 50K. And what you do then is you implement ads, paid advertising, because there you can target people the right way. And only then you need a website. Until that point, you don't even need a website. You only need the website once you start running ads. And like that, you can easily get up to 150K a month. Literally with Instagram, YouTube, and ads. And then once you crack the 150K a month, then you'll transition more and more into like a management position, because now you have to hire some staff, some key staff, an assistant or two, maybe someone who helps you do the calls, maybe a coach that helps you delivering your end result. But ultimately here also maybe 3 people, 4 people in your team, and you're good to go, and you're making 150K a month. And you don't have much expenses. Okay, you're paying your team members a relatively average salary of your country. Ultimately, you'll still have around 80 to 85% of profit, which is extremely high. Compare that to like drop shipping or something where you have like 15 to 20% profit margins. And you do that, and only after that, like once you're like making 150K, 250K, then you can implement a podcast. And that's basically all you got to do. And then you just scale up, like with podcast, Facebook, YouTube, with podcast, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook ads, you can scale up to 500K a month, if not even $1 million a month. And we haven't cracked $1 million a month us yet, but it would still be the same strategy. Once you got that, it's literally just a management problem. Like you got to make sure that the team is really, really on point, because you have to be closing almost nonstop, which is nice when it's just nonstop money coming in. And yeah, so if you want to make $1 million a month, it's around 40K a day. 40K a day times 5, that's 200K a week. Yeah, a little bit more than that. 200K a week times 4 will be 800K. So it will be a little more. You have to make like 250K a month, 250K a week, which is around 65K a day. And you could do that. You could do that with Facebook ads, Instagram, YouTube, podcast. But again, when you get to your first 10K a month, none of that's necessary. For 10K a month is just direct outreach and a profile that doesn't look bad. That's basically it. We didn't want to shoot this video. That was not, how long did that video go now?
13 minutes.
13 minutes. Hey, when this excited, we were literally about to shoot a different video here, completely, like the notes are about a different video. But yeah, that's how I would say is a good content strategy. That's how I would do it. Hey, book a free consultation call if you want to work together with us. We're going to put a link down in the description below. Call us entirely for free. You can literally talk on the phone with a real person, someone from my team. We can help you get started with your online business for an online coach or online consulting or online service providing. Even if you're already making some money, maybe you're already making your 10K and you're like, hold on a second, podcast, YouTube, I want to get started with that. So if you're a little bit more advanced, feel free to book that call as well. Thank you very much for watching. Totally did not plan. Half of the video I talked to you up there, not in the camera. So thank you very much. Talk soon. Bye-bye.
We closed in less than 48 hours 20K euros, which is incredible even for us. We are more advanced with our business. And we used to close like 20K in a month. And now in less than 48 hours we have this amount, and we have extraordinary clients that we can help and that we can provide value to. GG guys.